Hey guys, if you like what you see, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. With that said, on with the video. So, if you guys told me that this comic would turn into some sort of weird horror space comic like Aliens or Aliens, I probably wouldn't believe you. Well, I would, but I'd try and figure out what you're talking about, and Power Rangers issue number 2 is exactly that. A space horror story with a lot of action, and it is freaking amazing. Let's talk about it right now. So the first 2 pages open up with Drakkon narrating over the Rangers in space, and it looks like things aren't turning out so well for him. You've got Trini floating in space, you've got Zack's weapon disappearing, the space kitty or space doggy, whatever you want to call it, is scared for its life. And then you have Jason holding his blade, scarred up, all bloody. You've got these weird eyes reflecting off his blade as he's about to fight someone. And Drakkon is narrating saying, "I take no pleasure in what I'm doing, but we all must do what we can to survive." And then it cuts to the present saying 6 hours before the event prior. So yeah, it opens up with something bad about to happen in this issue, and it is freaking awesome. And I really do like the narrative that Ryan sets up in this comic. Like, the first 2 pages is something tragic happening, and then as you read forward, you see how we got to that event, and Drakkon narrating over it. So then we cut to the present day, 6 hours before everything goes down, and Eleven and Jason are talking about everything that just happened, and Eleven doesn't really agree with Jason's logic here, saying, "Hey, you took us to Earth for guidance, but instead we ended up busting out Drakkon," and Jason's like, "Hey, I didn't have a lot of options," and Drakkon's the only guy that probably knows what the emissary is about, because he witnessed them right in front of himself. He saw one of them kill the red emissary, so Drakkon might have an idea what's going on, but you kind of thrown into this situation if you can trust Drakkon or not, because Eleven does bring up during this point saying the space course that he put us on is very dangerous and it's going to take roughly about 12 hours to get to where we need to go, so who knows where the heck Drakkon is taking them right now. And Eleven and Jason have this really interesting back and forth where Jason goes, "The blue emissary chose me for a reason. You might not like that," but this is where Eleven cuts off Jason saying, "The blue emissary was not a god. He made our share of mistakes. His biggest mistake was trusting someone and they stabbed him in the back for it. So forgive me, I don't intend on watching that happen again." So yeah, Eleven's kind of on edge with everything that happened in Necessary Evil with Kia and stuff, so it's interesting to show this robot have like some sort of guard up with everything going up, or not showing emotion, but he's on edge with the choices that Jason is making and thinks that it might happen again now they recruited Drakkon. Like, he thinks that Drakkon is probably going to do the same thing that Kia did to the blue emissary by stabbing them all in the back and betraying them. And Jason kind of ends the conversation by saying, "Sorry you're disappointed, but until someone gives me a better option, Drakkon's the best thing we've got right now." Speaking of Drakkon, we then cut to Drakkon and Trini basically having a back and forth conversation with each other as Drakkon's placed in his cell, and Drakkon tries to play mind games on Trini by saying she's the smartest of all of them, she could probably lead the team, she's even telling her to call him Tommy, and Trini sees right through it, saying, "Hey, you tried to murder me and my friends, I'm not going to forget that, and you can stop trying to manipulate us and we'll be better off without it." And Drakkon just sits in his cell saying, "Yeah, I guess I was wrong, you're too caring, you're not a caring soul, you're basically naive." So that's the end of Drakkon for now. He's just going to sit in his cell and wait for something to happen eventually, but I think it is best for Drakkon to sit in his cell and just like wait for the plot to come to him, because I can't really see Drakkon hanging on the ship just being buddies with everyone else. Like, that's not in his character. Like, he can play the mind games all he wants, but I don't really see Drakkon being buddy with everyone at this time in the story. I get the feeling he's just going to sit in his cell for the next couple of issues and maybe slowly earn the Omega Rangers' trust as the issues go on. But hey, we'll see what happens. So all of a sudden the power is out in the ship and everyone is quick to point fingers at Drakkon, because Drakkon is the bad guy. He's the one that can't be trusted. He's the sus character in this situation, and what's wrong with the ship is basically floating in space as the engines are unresponsive and they're slowly losing power. So, like I said, they're slowly drifting through space, and Jason is very quick to defend Drakkon by saying he's a sociopath, he's not suicidal. Drakkon wouldn't send us in send us in here if he didn't have a way out, so we just have to find it. So what the Rangers decide to do is basically jumpstart the engines to put everything back online. And this is where things take a very, very scary turn in the comics, and I just love it. So as you've got Zack and Trini working on their generators and putting in their power batteries, you hear this weird hissing sound effect, and I freaking love the artwork as you hear the hissing on Trini. Like, you've got this close-up, you can see the sweat running down her face, and then when you turn the page, you see this big looming shadow over her, and something tells her they've come to feast. And this is where shit goes down in the comic, and I freaking love it. So the ship has been invaded by these weird vampire alien things that we'll get to in a little bit. We'll get to in a little bit what their powers are, but things turn into a horror movie really quickly where the Omega Rangers are surrounded by these vampire creatures that are just taking on the Omega Rangers in droves. Like, Jason gets surrounded and they all grab his helmet and like they're slowly crushing it. Jason isn't even able to fight them all off, so the Rangers have to be really creative with how they fight off these weird vampire alien things in space. Like, Trini launches herself out into space by opening up the emergency hatch. Like, things are not looking good for the Omega Rangers as they try to fight them off, and I love these, like, space vampire designs. Like, whatever these things are, I freaking love them, and I love their designs and what they're about, because they have this really creepy vibe to them, and having the Omega Rangers fight off these weird space creatures in the dark is even more horrifying. So while this is all going on, Drakkon's just chilling in his cell, relaxing, kicking back, and he's like, hey, sounds like you guys are in trouble. Mr. Robot, Z, Chi, whatever your name is, if you want to let me out, I can help you. And I kind of like that, like, little line that Drakkon has with him trying to pronounce Eleven's name, because I've given up at this point. I call him Z, I call him Chi, I call him whatever at this point. Like, Drakkon's practically me at this point, and I wonder if Ryan wrote that as a little, like, not a dig, but a play on words to, like, all those people who don't know how to pronounce that robot's name. Like, I'm sure probably even Ryan doesn't know how to pronounce his name at this point, but oh well. Drakkon's chilling back in his cage, and the leader of this alien race confronts him, and he says, I can smell your fear, and my children want a taste. And Drakkon's like sitting back in his cage, well, in his cell, saying, hey, we can get to know each other better. Who are you? I'm Drakkon. What's your name? And he goes, we are the Horrid, and we're hungry. And as he says that, he punches through the barrier that Drakkon's kept in, grabs him by the face, and starts ripping out his soul like it's something out of Mortal Kombat. It is freaking amazing. And as this is happening, Drakkon is fearing for his life. Like, he is scared. He is literally scared. And seeing Drakkon scared in the comic is something, because Drakkon's always been cocky. He's been a tyrannical ruler. Like, you've never seen him scared and fighting for his life as he encounters something. Like, it shows that Drakkon needs the power of the Morphin Grid to have, like, that big, tough guy persona attitude so he can rule over everyone. But when something stronger than him comes along, as he's powerless, Drakkon is basically a whimpering puppy begging for his life. But I freaking love the panel of the artwork where Drakkon's getting his soul ripped out of him, because you see, like, his soul screaming, you see Drakkon screaming on the ground, and as his soul's being ripped out of him, you can see, like, crumbling apart. It's like really freaking cool artwork. So Drakkon's already in bitch mode. He's begging for his life, saying he can give this guy planets, galaxies, even universes bursting with life. And he's already, like, calling this guy a king. Like, he's already sucking up to him, like, kissing his ass, hoping that he won't be killed. So the guy, the Horrid King, or whatever you want to call him, the leader of this weird alien race, vampire alien race, says this could be the beginning of a beautiful partnership. Feed us now. And Drakkon's like, hey, I can feed you now. But what the guy says, saying, you're going to help us kill the people who are killing my children, meaning the Omega Rangers. And the final page is just Drakkon being pulled away by the collar by this king, this leader of whatever he is, like the Horrid King, we'll call him. He's being pulled away by the Horrid King, like by his weird little cape thing, screaming in fear, like Drakkon is scared of this guy, which is, like, really cool and awesome to see Drakkon having fear of this brand new character. I freaking love it. And that's where the issue ends. So yeah, I wasn't expecting soul-sucking vampires in this comic to invade the Omega Rangers ship. That's a big surprise, but overall I think this issue of Power Rangers was really solid. I like the narrative that Ryan's telling us, especially how it's set up the beginning with 6 hours before all this stuff went down, and you can kind of guess that what happened at the start of this issue is going to bleed into issue 3 when that comes out next year in late January. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen next in this comic and how the Omega Rangers will get out of this situation, because I get the feeling that Drakkon begging for his life and wanting to work with them is all part of his master plan in some shape or form. Or maybe it's not and he really fucked him over, but I guess we'll find out next year in Power Rangers issue 3. But before I close up this video, tell me if you guys can trust Drakkon or not. Do you think he's scheming something? Do you think he's not scheming something? Tell me in the comments section down below. But with that said, I'm going to wrap things up here now. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys around. Peace out, take care, have a wonderful day or night.